since he's taken over as the quarterback, he's had, one good week of preparation, then he'll admit maybe the next week not so much, then he'll come back again. What are you trying to do with him to get him to be consistent with that preparation?
I just think it's a week-to-week process. The more you do it, the better you are at it. Really having an understanding of what it really takes. I think for so long he was able to just, be a really good athlete and go out there and make plays. And the realization that I can't do that at this level against elite players, elite defenses that are, trying to scheme you up every week. His growth has been tremendous. As a young guy, his maturity, his taking ownership, I think was really great, and not making excuses and saying, listen, I didn't get it done, and this is what I have to do, and I have to prepare and listen to coach and, watch the tape and get with the guys and be able to be in front of the group and, really feel confident in what I'm doing. And, he's really been a different guy really over the last 3 weeks. A lot of quarterback play is dictated by who we're playing and how we're playing and who's blocking, who's catching, who's running, that kind of thing. But his preparation has been great, and he was on target today. So hopefully that all comes to fruition on Saturday.
Coach, A&M runs some similar concepts in terms of what they do offensively as you guys. Are you able to get something out of that from watching that tape? And in terms of, I guess, maybe not being too conservative, that seemed to kind of bite them as well on Saturday. And I imagine you've shown a penchant for not being particularly conservative early in games. Do you feel like that's a way to maybe get some kind of momentum?
Well, there's a couple points in there, right? So, the first point with the A&M thing is we're just going to go back and watch all of those teams that are kind of like what we do. See who had the most success. If you go back statistically, I guess it would be South Carolina because they got the W. But it's really trying to find out who fits who we are and, some of the different looks. We're at a little bit of an advantage because their defense is very much like our defense. And Coach Key's, relationship with all of those guys at Alabama, they're very, very close defensively, philosophically. So I think we have a pretty good idea what they're doing. And then you just have to match up and take a look at, what has been successful, what do we do well? Because you can't go in and say, well, A&M did this well, and then we don't have the ability to do it. And in these games, against a team like this, you're not going to just line up and pound the ball. There's a reason why they are who they are defensively. So you have to mix in your runs, and you have to be able to give them some looks that they haven't seen, or, find out exactly what we do well and try to major in that, keep them off balance. But you can't be conservative at all, I don't think, because it's very difficult to drive the ball consistently, against a defense that's schematically so sound and, has, a big group of angry guys running around.
Able to stop the run and making the offense one-dimensional. But particularly when you look at Georgia defense all around, what, I guess, worries you the most, or, pretty much what worries you the most when looking at their defense and how they can affect different parts of your offense?
Mm-hmm. So whenever you're evaluating a defense, starting whatever that first day is, Sunday, or in our case last Friday, you always you just make an evaluation of two things: who are they schematically and who are they physically. The most impressive thing for them is that they're elite at both. So you have to be able to find exactly what is our best matchup. Where can we get a guy that we feel is a good matchup with our group against one of their guys, and whether it's a run, a pass, a screen, or whatever, and try to get them formationally into that look, to take advantage of what we feel, we could best exploit. They're really big, they're fast, they're athletic. But, our whole goal has been from day one to, really concentrate on who we are and what we're doing, and, really make the evaluation on us not really worry about Georgia. I mean, they are who they are. And it was this. I think it was the same conversation that we had, in the beginning of the year when we played Clemson. And it's like, okay, this is who we are. This is who we're trying to, become. And we've seen the growth over the entire year. And so you just have to do your evaluation based on, what you think you could be the most successful with, and have a small package of plays and make those plays, try to go.
Curious, much has been made of just like the youth on this both sides of the ball, but also certainly with you guys. Do you already kind of know, like, here's how we're going to attack the offseason, and these are things we're going to, like, kind of step two of what this will look like, when we get in spring and all those sorts of things?
Mm-hmm. Well, the cool thing is, when we come back, we'll have a few young guys that'll come in at the mid-year, but the majority of the guys that will be with us have already done it. So now they understand what the expectations are. They understand what the process is. They understand how Coach Lou works. They understand the off-season conditioning plan. They understand how to come in and study tape, how to evaluate the cut-ups, how to get better technically, how to increase their knowledge. So that part of it is exciting, and that move towards that second year is just guys being more confident, have a better understanding, bigger, faster, stronger in what you're doing. And it's just kind of the next step in the progression of where we started when we got here this time last year, and then through the spring, the summer, the season, and the growth that we've made. And you would expect not to make the same mistakes or do the things that we did last spring. So it's always a fun time for the development of the guys. And Coach Collins does an unbelievable job just helping guys grow up to be young guys in this program and in this society. And so there's so many life lessons that are learned during those off-season workouts that are football related, but they're more life skill related. Getting up early, having to persevere, do all of those type of things that you're going to have to do when you have a job and you have a mortgage and you have a family. And so those are the cool things, and that's the cool growth that you see, during the off-season. So, once we get through once we get through this weekend, we'll hit the recruiting trail and then come back and gear it up for the second year.
I guess going off of that, when you look at kind of the work that you do in retrospect to the season, and you go back and reflect on it, what are you looking for from your mind as far as kind of like when you do reflect on the season, what does that work kind of look like for you?
Mm-hmm. So it's, what kind of growth did we make? Are we better now than we were, 13 weeks ago? Schematically, what are some of the things that we have to improve on? Technically, what are some of the things we have to improve on? Do we have to improve a certain piece of our offense? Whether it's, hey, our red zone offense has to be better, our goal line this, how about our pass game? Can we get more into our pass game this year? Can we, dive a little bit deeper into some of that pass game? And then just really evaluating each player and seeing, specifically each player, where is their growth going to come? And, is it a mental, physical, understanding type thing? And really breaking it down. So you're breaking it down by position, you're breaking it down by offense and defense, but you're also breaking it down really succinctly, individually, to say, listen, these are the things you did really well. You weren't very good at these things, or we weren't very good at these things as a group. So these are things that we have to put a lot more emphasis on, and then just, continue to build it from there.
Also, kind of when you look at your career as a whole and you look back on this year, what do you think, and I know obviously the year's not over, but what do you think you will remember from this year and kind of the challenge that you were presented in January when you got here?
Yeah, I think it's been just that. It's, taking a group and of coaches and players and developing a mindset, developing a level of expectation, developing a knowledge base, and then just continually, day by day, play by play, practice by practice, film session by film session, growing and learning those lessons and stubbing your toe against a Virginia Tech and not playing your best. And then, so why didn't you play your best? Okay, and then reevaluating that, and then how do we make that change and then come out and not do the same things, whether it was schematic or whatever it was, and then go to the next week, and then go to the next week, and the next week, and continue to build, and meanwhile, continue to develop the guys, because, at the end of the day, these guys are 18 to 22 years old. So a huge part of that is continuing to help them grow, really compete in a very competitive atmosphere in the classroom, and then socially just be able to handle all the things that come with being, a Power 5 football player. And, that's the fun part for me. I love the X's and O's, but I love watching these young guys develop when they first come in, and, they're kind of still wet behind the ears, and, seeing their growth over the course of a season, over the course of their career is a really cool part of what we do. So, that's the piece that as you look back, you try to, put your thumb down on a few specific things, and then, just take time to globally look at it and say, yeah, this was something that we did well, and these are some of the things we got to get better at.
We talked to Malachi after the game Thursday night, and he felt that since James has taken over at the quarterback position, that he's seen the chemistry grow between James and the receivers. Is that something that you get to see in practice every day?
You know who Malachi's best friend is? James. So, yeah, absolutely. Yes, he's the wideouts can't put numbers up, right, if the O-line doesn't do a great job protecting. That's a huge piece of our growth over the last 3 or 4 weeks, is that the O-line's growth and understanding of being able to protect the quarterback has gotten much better. And when James can put his feet in the ground and throw the ball, he's very, very talented. And so, the chemistry comes when you have the opportunity to get the ball off, make a good read, make a good throw. And that quarterback, schematically, he's so much further along than he was even a month ago, just understanding where to go with the ball and why you're going with the ball. And he's put a lot of work into that. And then when you hit him with a double move on the first play of the game and Malachi runs by the guy and we have a 40, 50-yard play, that tends to get things off to a good start, and the wideouts are pumped up, So it's a continual work in progress, but that's, most of those guys have 3 more years. So that's the fun part for me.
So going from a short week to then a longer or a long week, how has that been an advantage to have those extra days to dissect a defense such as Georgia's?
Well, the short week's a killer, right? Because you're jamming, a whole week into like 3 days. The good thing here is that, you give the guys an opportunity to step back, especially after a win, and basically take a breath and heal up and get into the classroom and do the things. I thought some of the cool things, that were posted on the little bit of social media that I'm ever on was some of our guys, saying, hey, yeah, it was great that we got a win, but, I had to go take 2 exams the next day and I passed both of those. So, just letting those guys become assimilated back into the students and the classroom is great. And for us, it basically gives us, a day to evaluate our game very succinctly, and then move on to the next opponent. Because a lot of times, that last game that you played, you're watching it, you're evaluating it, and then you're on, the kids come in and we go through it and we do our goals and we talk about some of the, the pros and cons of what we did, and then we're like, okay, here we go, we're going to the next one. So what that allows us to do is, really step back and say, what were some of the things that went well or didn't go well on those days. And then it gives you an extra day to, kind of look at it and practice some of those things. And then you have the weekend too. So, it's not like we're just out, running, going to the mall and having coffee. You know what I mean? We're doing the things that we need to do, and it does give you an extra day to, even on Saturday I was at the house, but I had the iPad and we were watching some of the games, and then I watched the A&M game on TV, and then I had my laptop on my on the couch, and you keep going back and forth and watching some of their stuff. So it gives you a little bit of a mental break too, to be able to take a breath and then just really dissect what they're doing. So it always is an advantage.